Welcome back. It's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure review. Today from McFarlane Toys and their DC Multiverse line, we are featuring the Darkseid War Kalibak. Alright, so this is a deluxe mega figure, and the word mega definitely does this figure justice. It's a behemoth of a figure, very large, very top heavy. He's a brick and a tank. Alright, so we have the eldest son of Darkseid right here, and it's a much more modern interpretation of the character that we've seen over the years. The figure comes with its very tiny display base, comes with his little weapon right here, and of course there's the trading card with a beautiful artwork by comic book artist Jason Fabok right there. And then we have his small little bio. So if you're into like the DC characters like the New Gods, like Big Barda, Orion, Apocalypse, this figure is definitely for you. It's awesome. It's huge. It's a beast, and it's very heavy. Kalibak here stands in at about a little under 9.5 inches. Beautifully sculpted figure. The amount of detail on this is just insane. The head looks awesome. He's baring his teeth. He has his nose ring. Incredible amount of detail in the hair. You know, it has a great sense of volume and layers, and it's also very dynamic. Also, you know, some of his hair is kind of like flowing around in the wind. His uniform, really well textured. You know, there's different textures going on for different materials. I like the green here, kind of has a much more like almost leather-like appearance. Whereas on the underarm, it's a very like textured kind of like mesh. His belts and his straps are very ornate with some nice patterning on it. You know, this is the kind of stuff you'd find on like War World, on Apocalypse. So it's really keeping in theme with the character. And it's huge. This guy is a beast. Here he is next to a standard DC Multiverse figure. We have the McFarlane designed Batman, and you can see just how much larger Kalibak is. Again, a very top heavy figure. He does come with this accessory, but my hand here, it's very stiff. You're going to have to like heat it up just to like pry the fingers apart, because it does not want to take this weapon in unless you kind of heat up the figures, because it's a very stiff, hard plastic. There is no ply or give to these fingers. In terms of Kalibak's articulation, his head swivels left and right. I kind of like this nods. Not a whole lot going on there. Keep in mind that these larger figures, they're not the most posable. You know, even though they have many points of articulation, you're not going to be able to get them dynamically posed. Single pinned elbow, articulated wrists that swivel, and they also do fold. They're on a joint, but this one, they're very, very tight. You might have to heat it up just to loosen the joints up, but they do move. There is no cut on the torso whatsoever, but there is a waist swivel, and you get some nice movement out of that. The legs are articulated at the hips, and they do kick up, but they're kind of restricted by the belt piece and the skirt, and then they also go outward. There is no thigh cut, but there is very mild swivel movement at the upper hip. And then the knees do bend. Very tight on my figure. And then there's also a swivel at the knee as well. And then you have articulation in the ankles and also in the toes. Visually, it's an amazing looking figure. I think its only flaws is in the posability. But that's to be expected, especially with these larger mega figures. You know, they're not as streamlined and as compact as the other figures in the assortment. But as a display piece, this thing is definitely an eye catcher. It looks fantastic. And here is Darkseid. So we can have him, next to his big boy Kalibak right here, so you can see how the two look together. And you can see here Kalibak, even though they're almost kind of like a little bit within the same height, Kalibak is this so much more meatier. There's a lot of thickness going on in this big boy. He weighs considerably a lot more than his pops over here. Yeah, so if the new gods are your jam, if you dig stuff like Big Barda, Orion, Kalibak, and Darkseid, if you like adventuring on like Warworld and Apocalypse, these two figures are definitely for you. And they're awesome. This one especially, I love the sculpting on this one. It's really, really well done. The texturing is just really eye-catching, and I think it's just a really nicely presented piece. Alright, so with that being said, let's wrap this one up. Once again, my name is Lou. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning viewer or subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. I greatly appreciate it. So until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I'll see you at the next one. Alright, later.